Hello and welcome to the two-man Power Trip of Wrestling. My host, JP John Poz. With me today, very special guest, former PCW heavyweight champion, former MCW Rage television champion, former MATW heavyweight champion, Mr. Doug Delicious. Doug, welcome in. How you doing?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So it's very interesting. Before we get to what's going on with you, it's just so interesting that CM Punk recently on the YouTube channel unearthed a match with you and Punk versus the LOD, the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. Technically, their last ever WWE match. It was actually a tryout match, somehow, believe it or not, for the greatest tag team of all time, or at least arguably the greatest tag team of all time. Just what did you think about that? That now it's being unearthed 21 years later, and it's on the WWE YouTube channel finally.
Actually, I've had a lot of people ask me about this match over the last 20 plus years. And everybody, I think everybody was starting to get to a point where did it even happen? And, but yes, it happened. And there's been little updates here and there. Whenever the anniversary rolls around of the match, Punk usually posts something about it. He has over the years. But, it was funny because, like I say, it came out there a couple weeks ago, and I was kind of shocked, and a lot of people started hitting me up, and it's like, hey, they finally pulled it out of the archives, so to speak, and, Punk hosted it, and, I got a lot of good feedback about it. I just, the only thing that I wish is they would have showed the entire match, but oh well.
Yeah, I guess they, for whatever reason, they clipped it. I don't know why or what like the need of it to clip it at all. But yeah, you're right. It wasn't the full match. You could tell it was edited a little bit.
Yeah, it was actually edited a good bit because they actually gave us 3/4 of the match, and they took out a lot of our heat that we got during the match. But hey, that's okay. I mean, they finally got around to airing it, and I kind of figured maybe they would with him coming back, and with such the build up with him being back and everybody being excited, it might be time that they drop this match. So
how did you get in the match to begin with? Like, were you on WWE's radar? Is it something else? Like, how did you get in the match to begin with to be a part of that tryout match?
To be part of the tryout, I'd actually been trying for probably about 3 or 4 years to I was sending Tom Pritchard when he was the head of talent relations stuff. And I would send stuff and he'd be like, no, I mean, you got to work on this, you got to work on that. And then finally there around late part of 99, 2000, I really got my butt in shape, and I was working a good bit, and ended up getting in with Maryland Championship Wrestling. And I sent my stuff in to Dr. Tom, and he called me. And then it was funny because it wasn't even a couple of days later that Dan McDevitt from MCW was going, and he asked me if I wanted to go. And of course I was open arms and told him that I'd already talked to Dr. Tom. So there was like a group of us there that day, because back then you had to be there like around 12, and they would get you in the ring and they would look at you, and it's a lot different now. Back then you had to really look the part cosmetically, and they would get you in the ring and see how you moved, see how you worked, and then if they were interested, then they would throw you into a dark match, and that's what happened with me and him that day.
And obviously, it's in Baltimore, so it's kind of like it's just a bunch of local guys that they bring together, or I guess Dr. Tom's kind of in charge of making sure he gets a bunch of local talent involved.
Yes, there was a good many local guys there, and what's funny is originally I was supposed to work Joey Matthews, which is Joey Mercury.
Yep.
And that was originally supposed to be the first match of the night. And I was actually looking forward to that because me and Joey had worked each other so much, and we knew each other's strengths and weaknesses. And he had already been there doing dark matches, so me and him had talked about it, and my heart was set on wrestling him that night. And that got scrapped because there was I'm not saying none of the guys there were any good, but just a lot of the guys weren't ready. And but like Punk said in the video, Sergeant Slaughter came up and proposed if we wouldn't mind working the Road Warriors that night. And of course we were like, oh, absolutely. I think Joey ended up working Crowbar that night.
Very interesting, though, because why are the Road Warriors involved in a quote-unquote tryout match, and why is it like a surprise out of nowhere for a Velocity taping? You know what I mean? Like, it just seems very strange, like the way it all worked out. Like they were a part of that show, which is awesome looking back.
Yeah, I think the night before there was talks about bringing them in to help the younger guys, and basically, and they knew their position because they had told us that. They were going to bring them back to work with some of the younger guys and help get guys over and whatnot. And I think the night before they worked RVD and Kane and didn't have a very good match. So the following night they wanted to see what they could do with two potential prospects, and they threw me and Punk in there, and the match turned out to be what it was. It turned out really good. We got a lot of really good feedback afterwards. Actually, Animal and Hawk were really, really generous with the way the match was structured and how we went out and performed. And they came back and really put us over really big to Terry Taylor.
It's crazy, like looking back, like, wow, the Road Warriors getting a tryout. Obviously, they're a little bit older, but the veterans of the ring, they've been wrestling for 20 plus years at this point. It almost felt like WWE was, do you think, humbling them a little bit to try to see if they, really wanted to be back? Or what do you think was the WWE idea behind that?
I just think they were going to have them come in and see how they would work well with that locker room. I mean, I remember being in the locker room that night, and literally I was sitting beside Chris Benoit that night. John Cena was in our locker room. That's when he just first started doing the rapper gimmick. Zach Gowen, the guy with the one leg, he was in there. Mark Henry, and it was a lot more. It was a different locker room than what the Road Warriors were, because they had been gone a while. So I just think they wanted to have them come in and see how they meshed well with everybody. And like I say, they took to us. They came down to the ring when Sergeant Slaughter was talking to us, and they actually pulled me and Punk aside and asked Sergeant Slaughter if we could go with them. And he said yes. So we went back and got our bags and went and sat with them in the locker room. And it was really neat because we grabbed our bags and we go off to this locker room in the back of the Baltimore Arena. And it was like me and Punk, and then beside of us, it was Animal, Hawk, then Chavo Guerrero, Eddie Guerrero, and Rowdy Piper, all sitting in this big circle. And we didn't even talk about the match. We just talked about everything else. Everybody was asking, especially me and him, they were asking us where we were from and how many years we've been wrestling. And at that point, I'd been in 10 years. So, but it was really overwhelming because my dad had just passed a couple months before that. And he used to take us to the Baltimore Arena to see the Road Warriors. And it was just kind of surreal, just having that moment when we walk out and we're in the ring and we're waiting for that music to hit. I'm just sitting there. The only thing I could think about was my dad, of all things. And then the Road Warriors music hits, and it's, it's very overwhelming. But, like I say, the match went great. They were great. And they gave us 3/4 of the match. And we really, one of the things they really specified was for us to be aggressive. And we were, I've always been a real tight, snug worker anyway, and I'm kind of known for that. But that night, they just didn't want us to be timid, because if we would have went out there and been timid, they just would have probably really beat the shit out of us. So, and I don't blame them either.
When you look at that too, and you're mentioning like Road Warriors, did it feel like a Road Warriors pop? You know what I mean? As far as you're a kid and then hearing, because watching that tape on YouTube, it's like, wow, they got a pretty damn good pop. Like the crowd responded well to them.
Oh, it was absolutely the Road Warrior pop. And especially like whenever they went for the Doomsday device on me, it was oh so real. Like when Animal hoisted me up, I remember him turning me and, just looking out. I think there was 18,000, 19, something like that, 1,000 people there that night, and just looking at the sea of people. And then you see Hulk get up on that top rope and looking so menacing and as huge as he is, and he's going to come off and they're going to clothesline the shit out of me. Yeah, it was pretty surreal.
That's
very
a pretty
loud.
Cool moment.
Huge pop.
Yes, but that's pretty damn cool though. Like full circle, like I saw him as a fan.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting beat up by them as a wrestler. Pretty cool.
Exactly.
Did you think that they were going to get signed after that? Because it's weird that they kind of just, that was like the end of it.
Yeah, I don't really know. I know years later, I ran into Animal quite a good bit on a lot of independent shows, and we talked about that match. And the only thing that he told me was, they just decided not to bring him back. So, that was basically their tryout, and it didn't work out, and that was it. So, and I really don't know if it was because, we all heard of, Hulk having problems with the office and him and Vince never getting along. I don't know if that had something to do with it, or I don't know. It is kind of funny, the Road Warriors getting a tryout. It's hilarious, actually, but that's the way it was.
Just even thinking about it is crazy. And then to think like, okay, you're on their radar, like you said with Dr. Tom, but obviously Punk on the radar too, doesn't get signed then and there. It takes him a couple of years, but two young guys on the radar. What did you think about Punker at that point?
Well, actually, I didn't know him at that point, and my one of my best friends, Julio De Niro, was working with him in TNA at the time. It's when TNA first started, and I think they were doing stuff with Raven and James Mitchell, and that's the only way I knew him. And then whenever, whenever I got there that day, I went up and talked to him, and I was like, "Oh, one of my best friends, Julio De Niro. You guys work together in TNA," and that's when we, kind of talked a little bit. But he was very quiet. He was very, very kind of quiet to himself, just business. Like afterwards, we all went out to the Hard Rock Cafe, and he rolled out. He wasn't much of. I don't think he was much a going out guy. So, but he was very cool, very respectful. And I think he even said in the video that they didn't really care for him at the time.
Right. I guess he didn't have to.
I think it had to do with the aesthetics. You know what I mean? Yep. Just the way he looked. I just think at that point, everybody up there was in such great shape, and I just don't think he fit, the typical WWE star at that time.
Big time. Yeah, they didn't like that look that he had, even though it was so unique and different. In 2003, they weren't a fan of it. They weren't feeling it at all, for sure.
No,
For Punk.
no, and you know, and you know, and looking back on it, I mean, you know, they didn't know that he would end up being one of the biggest stars that they've ever had. So,
Yeah, crazy. Are you shocked at that? Like when you think about it, looking back, he's one of the biggest stars, one of the biggest merch sellers. He's selling out shows. Are you surprised?
um, I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't, because at that time, you had to look the part, and you had to do whatever you had to do to get up there and to look good on TV. It's not like the extras for today. Like the guys that go up there today and do extra work, like they wouldn't even remotely entertain the idea of bringing them up for TV. I mean, they wanted someone back then that matched up well against the guys in the ring. And to be honest, I mean, I'm 6'2", and with my boots on, I'm probably about 6'3.5", and I was really in good shape then. And I was probably one of the mid-sized guys there at that point, because you got to think Hogan was there, Road Warriors, Piper, Eddie Guerrero, Cena, Batista. I remember going into catering. I would go to every time they'd come to town. Julio was usually on every show, and I would go with Julio. But it would be nothing to be in catering, and Batista and Chris Jericho would come in, and Booker T and Nick Kirkpatrick, and being a guy and being in this industry, especially being so competitive, and I was always comparing myself to all the other guys. And, I was pretty fit and jacked at the time. But, and then, this is no knock against Punk, and I'm sure, I mean, he knows that, just cosmetically, I don't think he fit the bill. But, as things changed and certain things happened, the direction of the company, and I think they took a chance on him. And two, he was really hot on the indies at the time. Like that's one thing that we don't have now these days, is the indie buzz that we had back around that time, because we had Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, and the indies was loaded, low key. It was a plethora of people and good indie talent too. Julio, throw Julio in there. There's not a lot of that anymore, and I think that's what we're missing. I mean, right now today we got there's a lot of good talent out there, but unfortunately there's a lot of bad talent. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, big time. That's for sure. When you look back, right? Were you getting any more looks from WWE after that? Like, what was your kind of connection with them after that?
Yes. What was going on at the time was whenever they would come to town, Dr. Tom would call, and then we would go. I sat more in the back most of the times than anything. I only had 5 matches there, and none of them were. After that, none of them were of anybody, of the roster, except for I was supposed to work Sergeant Slaughter one night, and they ended up changing it right at the last minute. It was in the MCI Center. I was supposed to work Sergeant Slaughter, and they changed it right at the last minute. I was there with Julio at the time, and they sent Stevie Richards out. They got Richards to go out and work Slaughter for some reason.
So never like developmental or them sending any place. It never got further than that.
No. There was talks about me going to developmental, and then there was a lot of things personally that I was going through, and within like a 4 or 5 year period, I'd lost just about everybody in my immediate family, and from cancer. Cancer runs deep in my family, and just out of the blue, my family members started dropping, and I got really sidetracked. And in 2006, I got a hold of Dr. Tom, and I was like, listen, I got a lot of things behind me. My life's kind of straightened out. And plus two, I was raising my son at the time as well. And then 2006 ended up being the worst year of that whole 6 year period, where I lost my my aunt in July, my grandfather right after my birthday in August, my uncle in September, then my mom in November. So it kind of wiped me out. So I decided to take a break, and I opened up a business, and that consumed all my time. And, you know, just time kind of slipped away from me. So, but there was talks. I had talked to Dr. Tom about OVW at the time, and possibly be a chance of me going there. So, and then I filled out some paperwork. The last time I was there, I filled out some paperwork, and it was kind of like an application type thing that I filled out. And then it went until like probably about a month later, I got a letter back from Tom Pritchard that said that they didn't have anything at the time, but stay in touch, which I still have the letter to this day. So I kind of keep it as a keepsake. So
it's kind of cool though, you know, be a part of that, and you know, get close, so to speak. And obviously you said you wrestled there 5 times, so you know, it is what it is, but kind of cool in retrospect. I mean, something to look back on and be proud of.
Yeah, and it was cool from this standpoint. I mean, that was my whole goal, you know, ever since I was a kid. It's just to work for WWE, and then to be able to be on their radar and actually have a chance to go up there. I mean, I was probably up there about 14, 15 times. And, you know, it was a great experience, and I learned a lot, saw a lot. And, but, you know, majority of my career all of it has been on the indies, and it's been great. I mean, you hear all these indie horror stories, especially back when I started. You know, you always hear these independent horror stories, but I don't have anything. The wrestling business has always been good to me, and I've always been, you know, I like to pride myself on being a professional, and you know, doing what I need to do to, you know, help the show, help the card in general, whatever I got to do.
So as far as today, what are you up to today? Because I know obviously MATW, our buddy Preston Quinn, dominating the Mid-Atlantic. So what's up today as far as your
nothing. He said hello, by the way. I talked to him today.
Oh, nice. Awesome. He's the man.
He is the man. Honestly, I'm just running with Mid-Atlantic right now. We are so we've had some time off over the last probably about month and a half, 2 months. And it's the most time I've had off probably in the last 2 years. And we got a really busy fall schedule coming. I think there's 2 weekends off, just 2 weekends off between September and December. So we're going into our 2nd year of business. So, well, we're already into our 2nd year of business, but, you know, the towns are wanting us back. The crowds are getting, we're getting more and more popularity, and everybody loves the product. You know, we're very old school base, but with new school twist. And we got a lot of good talent, a lot of good indie guys from the Carolinas. We got a lot of good up and coming guys. We got, I don't know, are you familiar with Spencer Slade, who just signed with the NWA?
Yes. Yep.
Spencer, he's been coming in and out. He's a great talent. Party McFly, he's another up and coming kid who's been doing a lot of good things, turning heads of, you know, actually caught the eye of some of the scouts for the NWA. Um, Other talent out there, Sebastian. Have you heard of, I don't know if you heard of him. He's kind of working behind the scenes at NWA. He's the master of the canvas. He's like a painter, like a Bob Ross type character. Look him up. He's doing well. I mean, Blade Brown's another guy. He's hot on my tail right now for the Mid-Atlantic Territory Heavyweight Championship. He's another guy, former all-conference college football player. 20, I think he's 23, 24 years old. He's got a lot of people's attention. Chase Emery's another guy from the Carolinas who's another talent. I mean, these guys are all young and they're hungry, and we're lucky to have them in Mid-Atlantic.
PQ, CW Anderson, you guys got some good guys over there.
Yes, yeah, we got to. What's good about our locker room is everybody's been trained, and everybody's been trained by someone reputable, not, you know, some guy who was trained by my Uncle Bob, who was trained by the backyarder from the 1990s. You know what I mean? Yep. We got guys that were actually trained by reputable trainers. So I think that's what gives us a lot of credibility. And plus just the way we work. A lot of guys, you know, I don't know, I guess because we have a lot of big guys on our roster. We don't have, you know, the typical indie guy on our show. We don't have guys that, even though we have all shapes and sizes, you know, we don't have guys that look like they just, you know, hopped off the elementary school bus. So like a lot of the indies, we actually have men on our roster. So
that is for sure. One thing I noticed is like, man, it's like a sea of heavyweights over there versus some other indies I see. Oh my God, they look like, you know, 7th graders or something. But I mean, yeah, you guys got legit guys there.
Yeah, and you know, when people come to our show, they see a lot of good heavy hitting. I mean, we pride ourselves. I mean, we take a lot of pride in Mid-Atlantic. I mean, we run just about once or twice a weekend. And like I say, this fall schedule going into the beginning of winter, it's going to be a tough schedule. It's going to be a fun schedule. We got a lot of cool stuff lined up, and you know, we're really proud to be where we're at right now. Preston and Ron Kitchens, who's owner of Mid-Atlantic, have really busted their ass to get out there, get the word out, and to really make a good impression. And, you know, a lot of that has to do with our locker room too, but they're the guys that are, you know, those are the guys that are doing the legwork, the real work, you know, calling the towns, getting buildings. And, you know, it's just been a real blessing. It's been a real blessing for me, being an older guy. And, you know, I say what's on my mind. I don't sugarcoat nothing. I try to be nice. And then when, you know, guys might get their underwear in a knot, but, you know, it is what it is. I take a lot of pride in what I do. I'm not a play wrestler. I'm just not. I'm a professional. I'm a professional wrestler. I'm not someone who wanted to go out and pretend to be a wrestler. So I take a lot of pride in what I do. And I'm proud to be the Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Champion. And, that belt, to all of us in the locker room, that belt means a lot to the company. It means a lot to the locker room, and it definitely means a lot to me. We're really building something special. And anybody that wants to come into Mid-Atlantic, you know, the door's open, but, you know, they're going to have to understand they're going to have to meet some credentials first and have some legitimate training. I mean, I get messages all the time, and I know PQ does. And, you know, guys come up with the silliest things. They're like, oh, well, can you get me booked? And I'm like, well, you know, you're going to have to work your way up. Oh, I can't do that. You know, I've already made a reputation for myself on the indies, and, you know, so automatically right there, you know what you're getting. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we don't even fool with them then.
When you guys are around, where's the territory and where's the television? Like, where are you guys basically, located? Where can you guys be seen?
Basically, we're the television ran out of Yorktown, Virginia, and most of everything that we're doing right now is based out of Yorktown, and we're slowly creeping into North Carolina and West Virginia.
Nice. True mid-Atlantic territory right there, right? I mean, Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, that's true mid-Atlantic. When you guys are, you're obviously, you're building a name, building a reputation. Where do you see mid-Atlantic? Where do you want to see it? Like, as far as the future?
Honestly, we just want to be everybody comes to our shows. They're so shocked when they see the presentation and when they see our wrestlers, because everybody says the same thing after the shows. They're like, this is great. They like this reminds me of old school wrestling that I used to watch when I was little. And the storylines that we got going there, it's very, very easy to follow. We got good guy versus bad guy. There's conflict. Let's see them fight. That's basically us. And the thing is like I said, we actually have men that are in the ring. We got guys that have been trained and can do this very well. We got guys on our roster right now that are on some of these national companies' radar. So we're very proud. Where I see us, like, just this fall and winter, like I said, there's not too many companies that are going to be out there hitting the road every weekend. Like I say, we're only going to be off 2 weekends between September and December. So we're really excited about that.
With PQ, obviously, I know him very well from PCW down there with our buddy Tyler Steele.
Yes.
In the Virginia, West Virginia area. So, man, when I was actually his manager for a bunch of shows, when they did some TV tapes and stuff, man, I got a nice little lesson in like what to do, when to do it, why to do it. PQ, man, he's a fountain of information as far as wrestling, and even teaching somebody like me the ropes and what to do and when to take a bump and not to take a bump. So I love PQ. I feel like he's awesome. He's such a wise man. It's just so awesome for the business. He was a damn good worker too. I loved he was doing like this Harley race gimmick. So I loved it down there in PCW. And obviously you were there too, and you had an awesome little feud with the franchise Shane Douglas too for a hot minute down there.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. There was actually some friction there with me and Shane for years, and we just thought it would be fun to bring him in and do something. And that was all water under the bridge, and we ended up having like feud of the year. We wrestled quite a few times, and he costed me the PCW belt versus Kenny Dixon.
Yep.
And then at the Ranson Civic Center, the big blow-off match was me versus Shane, but Ricky Steamboat as the special guest referee. And it was a cool backstory because I had some training with Ricky Steamboat. I had actually trained with him. And then, of course, Steamboat tagged with Shane Douglas. So depending on how the match went, there was some curiosity among the fans. That's why we drew so well that night. With Steamboat kind of side with his pupil at one point or his former tag team partner. And of course, we all saw what happened, and it turned out to be a great night. Tyler, a lot of people missed those shows. Tyler ran a really good promotion down there.
Really good.
A lot of people miss it. That area is just kind of, it's not very good. Like I say, there's too many indie promotions there now. Voltage Wrestling, ran by Mike Nolan. They're actually doing it right. Little shout out to Voltage. And World Domination Wrestling. Gavin runs that. and they're actually doing pretty well. They're actually, trying and running some good shows, and trying to run some quality independent wrestling.
Man, Tyler, like you said, people definitely miss those shows. I miss those shows. They were so good. But what was the heat with you and Shane originally? How come you and Shane had some heat?
Oh, it was just little back and forth babble. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything. I think it was. I think it all just stemmed from. It's kind of like, you got two cocks of the walk in the same dressing room. And, one guy's looking at the other guy thinking, I can beat your ass. You know what I mean?
Yep.
and this was from years prior. So, but it's funny because me and Shane are friends now, and, we laughed about it, and it's all, water under the bridge. But he's actually, I mean, honestly, and he knows this, and it's no doubt anybody that knows me, he's actually in my top 5 of favorite wrestlers of all time. I'm a huge franchise fan, and Shane's a great guy. He's a world of knowledge, and man, when he starts talking about the business, it just, man, he can just ramble, and I'm just sitting there, like a sponge to water, just trying to soak up all that information. And he's just been a really, really good opponent. He was a really good opponent for me, and especially at that time when we started bringing him in. He kind of helped my character go into a direction of being a little bit more aggressive, and just working with Shane was good for me.
I think the really cool thing was that, because you don't see it a lot on the indies, a surprise appearance when you were wrestling and he cost you the title. He wasn't advertised for the show, so nobody knew he was there, and it was a surprise, which you rarely see on the indies. So great booking there by Tyler, because it popped obviously the crowd that night. They were shocked because obviously he was not booked, but the return match is that much bigger because people want to see it, because like, wow, he just cost him the title in like a total shocker.
Yeah, and honestly, I didn't even see Shane that day. I was just in the ring. That's when I saw him. So, yeah, it was a good time. Like I say, Tyler ran some really, really good shows. And I know people ask me all the time about him coming back. And, I don't know if he'll ever bring it back or not. But I know a lot of people miss PCW. I miss it. And, Tyler did it right. Tyler did what all these other promoters don't do. He beat the streets. He hit every store there was and hung flowers and posters and cards, and he put huge banners downtown Ranson when we ran the big event at the Ranson Civic Center. He did all that. And a lot of guys today, they just sit behind their phone and post something on Facebook and like, oh, okay, that's going to reach 30,000 people. That's not how it works. You got to go out and you got to talk to the businesses. You got to meet people, and you got to press the flesh, is what I like to say. And you got to get people in the door. And, you do got to give away tickets here and there to people that promote for you and advertise for you. And, you give away some tickets, and, and then it just snowballs. But, I mean, Tyler ran PCW for years. So he'd been building this brand for years and finally got it to where it was. And it turned out to be a great little indie promotion.
For sure. You mentioned franchise. Who else is some of like the favorite guys that you work with? Because I know you worked Jerry the King Lawler, Brian Christopher, I believe you worked. I mean, you worked some Buff Bagwell. You worked some pretty big names.
Got Bastion Booger, Norm the Lunatic. Mike Shaw. He was like my first big name that I worked. Jim the Anvil Neidhart. I worked with Dreamer, tagged with Scott Steiner. Was in the ring with Wahoo. My goodness. Greg Valentine. I mean, it's been a bunch of people. Buff Bagwell. I wrestled Marcus Bagwell. Been in the ring with the Headbangers. Taz. Whenever we first started doing, whenever I got into business, the business was still, as 93. The wrestling business was still, you had to know somebody who knew somebody to get in. And luckily enough, the guy that trained me, Neil Superior, he had just gotten back from Puerto Rico, him and Tom Brandy and Doug Stahl. And I believe they were there with Afa and Sika. And Afa and Sika is who trained Neil and Doug. And Neil had opened up a pro wrestling school there in Hagerstown, Maryland. And I was in between going back to college and finishing playing football. And a friend of my mom's knew somebody that knew Neil, and she gave Neil my number. And here I am getting ready to go back to college to play football. And he called, and I went over there and got in the ring. And I knew right then and there that's what I wanted to do. So I called my coach up, and I'm not coming back. I'm going to get into pro wrestling. So, but I had to finish school, though. That was the deal with my parents. So,
all the way back in 1993. Can you believe that?
Yeah, 1993. And actually, I tell the kids today, I was like, they asked how many years I've been wrestling. I was like, well, I'll just put it to you like this. My very first show, Kerry Von Erich was in the main event.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Do you remember who he wrestled that night?
I actually have my poster. It's Morgus the Maniac.
Oh.
Yeah.
It had to be one of his last matches.
The poster right here on my wall. The original poster from, it was kind of weird because back then the business wasn't so exposed, and Neil and Kerry were friends from going on these world tours together, and so that's what Kerry had been let go from WWF, and he was working indies. So Neil and his dad, Dick Karakoff, who ran the NWL, they got him. And I remember him coming in, and he just kind of waved at everybody, and he sat down on the floor, like our locker room. And then there was a locker room across this little hallway. It was the back of the Boonesboro Arena in Maryland. And I remember him sitting down on the floor, and he popped off his foot, his prosthetic. And of course, nobody knew,
Yeah.
And like, I'm a 21-year-old kid, I guess at that time. And like, I was like, huh? Like, what did I just see? And then he like shut the door. And then Neil came in the locker room. He goes, oh yeah, he's got a prosthetic foot. Don't stare at him. And that was basically about it. But
that's crazy.
But he was larger in life. I mean, just the whole aura of him. I don't think people realize how big he was. He was huge.
Oh, he was like a Greek god. I mean, he's a big, big guy. Had to be one of his last matches too, no?
It was his second to last, I believe, because I think 2 weeks from there he worked Salvatore Bellomo with Woman as his manager up in Jersey, I think. But and then I mean, other people I worked back in the 2000s. I worked Joey Matthews and Christian York a lot. I worked Vampiro up in Jersey. I think that, I don't know, that was like 2003, 4, somewhere around there. I mean, it's been crazy when I sit back and look at it. I'm like, I think about some of these guys that I've worked and that I've met. And, I've been very blessed to have my little indie career that I've had.
Pretty awesome. Pretty remarkable, some of the names, obviously, some of these huge names. And even from that, like, Baltimore, Maryland area, like you said, York and Matthews, I mean, wrestling them, I mean, that obviously was pretty damn big as well. So a lot of cool names and cool experiences wrestling throughout the years.
Oh yeah, and I mean, we had Orlando Jordan was in MCW at the time. Uh, who else is in our locker room? Chris Chetty was there. Danny Doring, the Briscoes. Worked the Briscoes right when they got into the wrestling business, when they were bald headed and they just had these red singlets, and that was really cool. The Holy Rollers, which I still think is one of the greatest tag teams to ever come out of the state of Maryland. Earl the Pearl and Ramblin' Rich Myers, they were fantastic to wrestle. Those guys were so good. And everybody always asks me, like, what's the best indie tag team you've ever been in the ring with? And it's definitely Earl and Rich.
Anybody that, like you mentioned, like Slaughter, like you almost wrestled and didn't. Anybody else that was like almost going to happen and didn't happen, like a guy that's on your radar, but you didn't end up wrestling them?
Man, there was opportunities. There again, it's like, one thing's for sure in the wrestling business is nothing. It's like, I'm not going to say the promotion, but it was just a few years ago. And because I'm still friends with them, but I was going to work Glenn Jacobs. I was going to work Kane down in West Virginia. And then that whole thing fell through. The whole show actually fell through. And it wasn't the promoter's fault at all. But, I was kind of disappointed at that. There was always talks of me working this guy and that guy. I used to ride down to North and South Carolina. And what was that guy's name? I think his name was Chris Fierro. He used to be Tommy Gunn. Used to be one of the enhancement guys for WCW, but he was running shows, and I got hooked up with him through Julio and through Joey Matthews and Christian York, and so I started going down there, and but I got down there, and I was just thinking I was working one of their guys, and end up getting in the ring with Ron Killens. It was right after he lost the world title from Jeff Jarrett, and then ended up going down next time working Disco Inferno. So that's the way the wrestling business is. You know what I mean? Like one night I'm working Julio De Niro on a Friday night, and then the next night I'm coming in and I'm working Jerry the King Lawler.
Yeah, it's crazy. What did you think about Disco? What did you think about working Disco Inferno?
Easy, fun, great guy. Ron Killens was really fun to work. I didn't have to do anything. I mean, he's so athletic and so gifted, tremendous wrestler. That was really cool because, he just lost the title. So that was a lot of fun.
Definitely. Kind of surprised he won the title, but he was starting to get super over in NWA. Pretty obviously historical too, that the fact that he won the NWA title.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it was cool. It was cool at the time because Julio was down there at the time, and Mickey James was there, and she was there doing stuff. And I think they were doing some stuff with Jeff too there for a while. And then I think the Flock formed with Raven, and there was a lot of good stuff going on there. I think when Jeff and Jerry Jarrett were booking it there in the beginning, I thought it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it.
And they had so much good talent, the X Division and everything else. Yeah, I thought they were great when they kind of first started. I was always enjoying, whether it be Loki or AJ or Christopher Daniels, I enjoyed a lot of the X Division stuff they had going on.
Yeah. Oh, well, that was groundbreaking too. nobody else was doing it.
For sure. So as we hit the wind down here, we head towards the finish. What is next for you? What do you? I know you obviously have MATW come back, but what's next for you? What's coming on down the pike?
Well, actually, I guess it's the 14th of September. Mid-Atlantic starts back up, and we start rocking and rolling for the next 4 months. I'm really looking forward to this fall and getting in there. I got some heavy. I got my work. I got a lot of work to do for the next couple months. I got some guys that are hot on my ass, and I got Blade Brown and Chase Emery still lingering there. And it's good for me to work these young guys because it pushes me, and I like to be pushed. I'm a competitor, and I like to compete, even though I'm a little bit older now. But I'm still in good shape. I can get out there and go. You can ask Preston. A lot of our guys, 10 minutes in, I'm just getting started. 10, 15 minutes in, I'm just getting started. I like to really, I like the storytell, and I like the drama to build. And I'm old school, but Mid-Atlantic is all that I'm doing right now. It's the only thing I have time for. I recently just moved to Lexington, Kentucky. So I'm about 6-7 hours away from a lot of these shows. So I'm going to be back to being a road warrior like I was 20 years ago. But it's all worth it. And like I say, I'm going to have my hands full this fall. I got Blade Brown. He's gunning for a title shot, and he deserves it. And we're going to be busy. We're going to be rocking and rolling. Please, anybody comes out and sees our product, like I say, they are they're very shocked and surprised at how good our product is. And we're always getting asked back. And, the crowds keep building. We keep growing, which is good. And that's a reason why we have so many dates this fall and going into the winter, is because people want to see us. And if you just go on our YouTube channel and just check out how many people are, how many views our stuff is getting, it's kind of impressive. You know what I mean? For just being an upstart company. And we're just getting started. And we got some new guys coming in. We're filling out our roster. And, there's a lot of exciting things happening.
Where can everybody find you, and, all your social media and everything you got going on?
Mid-Atlantic territory. You can find it on Facebook. And we do have a website, just Mid-Atlantic Territory Wrestling. And, we're on Facebook, when the main website. You can find me on there. You can find me as Doug Grubb on Facebook. That's the only social media I have. I kind of limit my social media. I don't have TikTok and all that stuff. I don't believe in it. But if anybody needs to get a hold of me, or is interested in tickets, or interested in booking me for something, I'm always open. I'm willing to travel and hit the road. And like I say, but Mid-Atlantic, that's for you guys out there that are into old school pro wrestling with a new school twist. Definitely check us out. Like I say, we got legit wrestlers. Everybody's been trained by someone reputable, and we got a hell of a roster. We have men on our roster, and we believe in good, strong competition. So I think everybody who, like everybody else, anyone who tunes in and comes to a show, they always come back.
Awesome. Well, Doug, thank you so much for all the time tonight. Really appreciate it.
No, not a problem. Thank you. And if you ever want me back, I'll come back.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Doug.
All right. Thank you.